Have you ever dreamed of winning $1 million in a poker tournament? Have we ever seen those pros and thought, could I do that? Could that be me? Well, it can. Welcome to your guide to how to win a poker tournament, where the pros reveal their strategies, their techniques, their tips to make you a winning player.
Helping Jesse through the highs and lows of poker are two of the world's best players. Noah Bokan, a rising star of European poker with 2 big wins already under his belt.
I won the EPT in Copenhagen last year and the British Poker Open this year in London.
Alongside Noah and Jesse is Tony G, one of the greatest tournament players of all time.
I've won over 1.5 million in prize money. I'm the WPT Bad Boys champion and I've made 40 final tables in my career.
And giving you a unique insight into the game, one of poker's true legends, a winner of the World Series of Poker Tournament of Champions, Mike Sexton.
Poker's like everything else in life. Those who prepare to win do better than those that don't. And one thing I can guarantee you about poker, anyone who wants to become a winning player can do so.
Let's recap what we've learned. When you sit down at a poker table, first hand of the tournament, be aggressive. Be confident. And remember, if you get a big hand early, play aggressive. Don't forget, early on in the tournament, those blinds too small to attack or defend with compunction. Ace-King, not a calling hand early. Raise with it before the flop. Continuation is a key. If you raise before the flop, you must bet on the flop. And don't forget to be aggressive. Winning poker is aggressive poker. And joining me around the table, as always, are two of the toughest tournament players alive, Noah Bokan and Tony G. Very easy to play, strong hands early, guys, but when the tournament moves on, there's something important. That's stealing blinds. Now, Noah, at what point in a poker tournament do the blinds become a factor? How big do they have to be?
After a few levels, when the antes come in, that's the moment you have to start stealing blinds because there's a lot of money in the middle. So when the blinds are 100, 200 with an ante of 25, that's most of the time you really get busy and just raise a lot on the button and the cutoff when it's folded to you. When you're first in, you just try to steal the blinds, pick on the weak players.
Sounds like it's about 3 or 4 levels in, but is there a way of thinking about it as relation to the average chip stack, Tony?
Oh, definitely. It's who you're stealing from, what's the reason, and how much you're stealing in relation to your stack. So if you have $1 million, you don't really want to steal 5,000. You want to make plays. It's complicated. It's not that easy. But when the stacks are about even, and the blinds say at 10,000, 20,000, and everyone has 100,000, this is a very good time to be very ultra aggressive. Obviously, on your blinds, if there's been no raise, you move all in. Yeah, on the button, you move all in.
Even if your opponent finds a hand because of the dead money in there, if it isn't like ace or kings, if they find like a non-pair against you, you still have the odds to play the hand because there's so much in the middle, and every time they don't find anything, your stack grows.
And they get more scared to play because it's going to cost them more in relation to their stack.
Yeah, they know their whole tournament's on stake too when you like push all in or make big raises, so it's way easier to steal.
So maybe it's when the fear factor comes in. Let's have a look at a typical blind stealing exercise. And I mean, how do hand values change? You mentioned, Noah, that because players aren't going to call you unless they have aces or kings, can you pretty much raise with anything?
No, it's not that they're probably going to call you with ace king too or re-raise you, but I just mean even if you get called, you have a good chance when you make a raise. And I was talking about all-in raise. Let's see what happens here.
Ben Roberts here with king, queen.
Made it 16,000.
And he's taking Tony off. And now, Tony, I think that was, the blinds there were 3 and 6, and Ben Roberts made it 16, which seemed to be enough to take it. It just got to that level all of a sudden where people need quality hands to play.
Yeah, 3 and 6 with 100,000 starting chips. Yeah, you need quality hands, and you're not gonna, I'm not gonna call with a hand like Queen King right now. I mean, most likely.
Because in this stage, if you play a hand and you have 100,000, you're gonna play it till the end for all your chips. So everybody just knows if this is the hand I'm gonna play, probably I'm gonna go broke with it or double with it.
The mindset has changed. Let's look at another one very similar. I mean, do you have to make a big raise when you're stealing blinds?
No, you don't have to.
You have to raise enough to win the pot without a flop.
Yeah, it just depends on your opponent. If he's very tight, you don't need to raise as much. Some people are just gonna only play hands. Like it doesn't matter that it's just 8,000 more. If they have nothing, they're just not gonna play. Other players will see any flop with 2 cards for 8,000 more. So you really have to keep track who's who at the table.
It sounds like, so one of the biggest things, first of all, when you're stealing blinds is who is the big blind?
Yeah, it's really very important.
Because in this
It's
case,
also important to think, to know what he thinks about you, you know? Does he think you're tight? Is he a player who will come over the top? All those things you have to take into account.
looks like Tim Flanders just called on the button here. And I mean, we've seen these guys before in this series. These are 2 of the tightest players you can come up against.
He's probably the tightest player in poker history. I'm not
The man
kidding.
that folded 2 kings.
No raise.
Like he wants to fold when it's even free to check. Yeah, look what he had. 7 deuce.
And he just folded in the small blind with ace-9 for a minimum makeup.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's really weird.
is this a
That
kind of
can't be right.
a situation where basically Tim Flanders has missed an opportunity here?
Yeah, definitely. Not Tim Flanders in the pot, but yeah, the small blind should have.
Should be in, no matter what.
Tom Flanders, right? I think.
Pass.
Well, he made a bet on the flop to win it, but it almost seems like in that kind of situation, when you've identified the 2 guys on your left as weak, that it's almost like
Yeah, it's
free.
weird that he limped.
Yeah.
But he was, yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. But you never know. Maybe he comes, if he was here, he could tell us why. But
What about stealing from the small blind? We got an example here. I mean, so many times in a tournament, you end up in these dog fights in the blinds. You're in the small blind, it gets folded around to you. What should you be thinking?
yeah, I don't like stealing from the small blind to the big blind too much because he's got position on you, and if you make a raise and he calls, you're screwed unless you have a big hand because he's got position on you and you miss the flop. What you're gonna do? You're gonna check or you're gonna put half your stack in. So I rather like depends on the stacks, but just limp in a small blind or move in. I don't want to have him see a flop unless I have a real good hand and I trap him. Because a lot of people in the blinds, they value their hands totally different. Some guy in the big blind will move all in on you with ace deuce after you raise. Some other guy won't even do it with ace queen. It really depends on the player. So
Well,
it's really
I mean, it's funny you say that because this is exactly what this example is about. And I mean, Tony, are you a little more passive from that small blind to big blind situation as well?
Yeah, I'm a bit more passive, I guess. But it depends on the opponents.
yeah, it always depends on the people you're playing with.
These guys are not interested in playing any hands. They're just waiting for pieces. They want
And
to-
I mean, the key there, Noah, is that if you get called, you're going to be out of position.
Yeah, out of position, you're gonna miss the flop most of the time. So what you gonna do then?
Here comes
These are not the
Dennis
cards you're looking for.
Mahoney. He is in the small blind.
Yeah,
And,
he's thinking what to do.
and Tim is from
usually
the
have
big
a
blind
pocket
talking to him. You employ that tactic a lot, Tony. I've seen.
Definitely.
Raise.
Well, last time as well.
I love talking to my opponents, see if they can make some mistakes.
So he makes a raise, which is fine, but you have to raise enough because
Tim-
I call any 2 cards in the big blind if I have position on you and it's
Tim
not too
seems
much.
to be a very creative player, a very good player.
He had a deuce 5.
Could have called there. Well,
If
it might not have
I
been
don't
a
know
big
how
enough
much the raise was, but if it's not big enough raise, I call you and I
would
see
call
what you do on
with
the
that
flop.
hand. I would call with deuce 5 a lot if I have a lot of chips.
Yeah, you have
and-
position on the guy.
Because the guy is gonna, if he's scared of you, he's gonna check if he misses.
I mean,
And if
it
you can take
seems like a big mistake a lot of people can make is that they think